Hey humans, how's it going? Susan Ruth here. Thanks for listening to another episode of Hey Human Podcast. I love this episode. It made me laugh so much. It's definitely not safe for work, and probably not for the ears of the age groups that understand what's going on but haven't had the talk. Listen at your own leisure and risk, I suppose. I really enjoyed this episode. Before I get into it, just a reminder, the Amazon affiliate program helps support Hey Human. If you go to heyhumanpodcast.com, there is the Amazon portal at the top of the homepage. You click on that, you shop like normal, and it helps support Hey Human, which I greatly appreciate. Rate and review on iTunes and also on any of your podcast apps that you might listen to the show on. You can rate and review generally on all the apps, I think, but especially iTunes. It's really helpful. Social media, you can find me all over the place. Susan Ruthism for the personal stuff, like Twitter and whatever, and Hey Human Podcast for the podcast. You can email me, susan@heyhumanpodcast.com. And as always, I put a bunch of links for this episode. So this episode is about dating and relationships and Tinder and Bumble. And I put a bunch of books that I have read about dating and relationships on the links page. Books that I enjoyed or I thought were well done. So yeah, this episode is with my dear friends Cora and Alex. And I asked them all about what it's like to date in the modern world with Tinder and Bumble, because they are both on those apps. And it was a very enlightening conversation. And I don't know what else to say about that. And before I forget, for those of you in New York, I'll be playing The Bitter End on the 24th, 6:30 p.m., which is an earlier time than before. I had mentioned before. And I'm going to be doing live podcasts up at Union College, which is really exciting. Lots going on in New York. Lots of really cool interviews that I'm going to be doing. It's good stuff. It's Monday, and I meant to have this episode be ready this morning, but it was a crazy weekend. And so I apologize for that. This is the beginning of the twice a week of having podcasts come out every Monday and every Thursday. Really stoked about that. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. And for spreading the word and all the good stuff. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. It's pretty funny. Again, reminder, not safe for work. At least, you can wear the headphones, but I don't think you want this one cranking in the office, if you know what I'm saying. HR will be notified. Okay, here we go. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Wait, so just give me what's the general premise? What do you want to get?
I want to talk to you guys is because at separate occasions, both of you, I noticed you had contact info in your phones that had either a fireball next to it or a B. Well, you had the fireball. You had the fireball.
I have the fire. Emoji.
Oh, you do the fire? Like, do you do it on the actual name? Like, do you do like John Fireball?
It's like, let me see, how do I do it?
See, I'll do like a Jenny NSH, and I used to do TNDR or BMBL, but the problem is then when it comes up, if it comes up on your phone, you're sitting there with people, it's like, oh, you got a Bumble. So I started putting it under company.
That's what I've always
under
done.
Under their company. Yeah. So that way it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay,
now, is that Dan Fields as in like he gives you the feels? Or is that Dan Fields as in like that's his real last name?
But see, that's interesting. If everybody is on Tinder and Bumble, then why do you care if people see that you have a call coming in?
Because obviously when you're dating somebody if you're on there, you're looking for people, right? So you're dating people and you're trying to feel out like, all right, I'm gonna go on this coffee date and then next like whatever, and it's like this gave me the feels, this didn't, whatever.
Easiest example to pull up because
so the last thing you want to do is like, I mean, I don't hide my phone, so if Heather BMBL comes up,
Heather Flame,
and it's like while I'm having coffee with somebody, it's like it's just A, it's sort of a respect thing, and B, it's a little bit like, oh, do you do this all the time? I'm like, bullshit, you do this all the time too, so don't give me shit. But
except for I am one of the only people I know that haven't done. That's why I want to talk to you guys, because I haven't done
I'm
it.
gonna set up a profile.
and then what if
God.
and then what if like you start dating somebody for a period of time, and you have the Bumble or the Tinder tag on there, and let's say you're dating for about like a month or so, you're 4 weeks in, and they call or somehow and they see on your phone that they're after their last name it says BMBL. They're like,
oh, they don't get upgraded?
oh, like you don't know my last. Oh, you still have the BMBL on there. Blah blah blah. Well, maybe I just forgot to erase it.
They don't get upgraded after a period of time to 3-week mark. They're like, all right, the BMBL comes off. And by the way, for those of you listening, this is an interesting start. Welcome to Hey Human Podcast, you guys. Alex, Seier, and Cora Jane.
Hi.
Appreciate you guys being on the show. And you agreed to come on and talk
Thanks for
about
having us.
your experience with Tinder and Bumble, because you're both hip kitties, young folk, hot babes. I don't know. I'm just
Totally
saying things.
Definitely hip.
Words are just coming
Very
out of
hip.
my mouth right now. But but you were willing to talk about it, so I think that's.
I love talking about anything dating, technology related.
So Alex, thank you for hosting this in your house while we.
Oh, welcome to my house.
Yeah.
You make good
This
coffee.
is where many a Bumble Tinder dates have happened, right?
So you
in
get
this.
them into your house? Yeah,
Right on
No.
this kitchen table. No.
Is that why the butter looks like that?
I don't have a problem with that necessarily meeting somebody at my house, but
Yep.
I try not to.
That's not.
But
I'd be
but I
scared
don't
of
have a
serial
problem
killer.
with. Well,
I would never just go to someone's house. I think that's where people become stupid, because a girl gets murdered after online date, and it's like,
Yeah.
why would you ever go to someone's house?
Not that it's her fault that she got murdered. It's the
No,
guy's
right.
fault.
but
yeah.
you should
well,
use
maybe
your
she
judgment.
should have worn that outfit.
She should not have worn that
kidding.
short skirt. No, I'm kidding.
That slut. Jane, you slut.
I told you you'd have to do a lot of editing.
No, this is all free and clear. Okay, so when did you both decide? So you met through me. You guys didn't know each other yet, so it's not like you met on Tinder or Bumble.
No.
No,
You and your girlfriend, or are you talking about us?
you two.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what did
What?
you say? What was that? What's that word?
I don't know. Just
Girlfriend?
I'll edit that out. Alex has a rep to protect.
What is it? What does that mean?
It's a friend made out of girl.
Yeah, you're friends with girls, right?
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
You know, supporting you at events.
So, Cora, what made you join these apps?
Let's see. Well, I moved to LA late 2013 and was dating a guy for like 6 months or so. Mm-hmm. And then we broke up, and I was just sort of curious. Like, everybody was talking about it. So I was like,
Tinder?
why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people were like, oh, you should try it. And it was really fun. Like, it became a fun social thing to do with my friends. Like, my friends who were in relationships would be like, ooh, let's play Tinder.
Let's play Tinder.
yeah.
And, like-
I'm gonna move this mic so we can hit the table if we want to.
Oh, yeah.
My friend Ellen gets mad when she's like, I listen and people are hitting the table because your microphone's on the table. This is all
Oh,
right.
that's funny.
Yeah.
But I think part of me wanted to meet somebody, but it was also just kind of like a fun activity.
Hold on. I'm gonna.
So this was like early to mid 2014.
So you'd broken up with a boyfriend. You're like, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right around. Okay.
Yeah, I had like broken up with this guy, and it's not that easy to meet people in LA.
Or
I mean,
anywhere.
or yeah, I guess anywhere. And it seemed like just another avenue to go down.
Sure.
And then I think at first it was exciting because it was like, oh my god, all these people like me. But then none of them would talk to you. And it was very like...
Explain what you mean by that.
So you match with people and then you never have a conversation. Like, it's very rare that one of you actually says something after matching. So it's this weird thing that a lot of people just use for like an ego boost, I think.
Oh. So you can match, but it doesn't mean you have to then,
No.
obviously, everybody
Yeah,
has
yeah,
a
yeah.
choice.
Yeah, and like, I remember
But is it an ego boost if you get matched and nobody contacts you?
not really, no.
It's a roller
'Cause-
coaster.
Yeah, it's weird because at first, like when you first start using it, you're kind of like, oh, cool, like maybe I am attractive or whatever.
that how you felt, Alex? Maybe not the hair toss.
That's how I feel. That's
that
how
was
I
a good
feel.
hair
I
toss.
also toss my hair.
But then as time goes on, it's like, well, this is exhausting. Because you'll have, even when you do have conversations, they either like go in this weird direction or they hit this wall.
And it's all texting, right? It's
Yeah. You have like a
through the
text
app.
conversation.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to tell what somebody's after. Like, I would have people message me being like, hey, what are you doing tonight? And, like, probably in that voice, too. And they obviously want to know, like...
Can they have the sex?
Can we just meet up somewhere and fuck? Like,
Yeah, right.
So I would just delete those without even responding, because it's like,
All right,
not
Alex,
doing you.
how many of those did you send? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't do that. No, honestly, I really don't.
You're
I mean,
more romantic, I feel like.
Well, I mean, like, I've never been one of those people that have been on those sites to, like, hey, let's meet up and fuck tonight.
Yeah.
You know, but I've also never been one of those people like, let's go to the bar, I need to get fucked tonight. You know what I mean? Like, there's guys and girls who are like, I need to go out tonight and I need to get laid. And I'm like, I've just never been, like, listen, I always think about it. I mean, every woman I see, I think about what it's like, what it would be like to have sex with that
think
person.
it's normal.
I mean, it's a normal, it's like, it just is what it is, you know?
Like, are you fuckable? Yes,
Right.
no.
It's like, yeah, I mean, and then what would it be like? Is it, and then what, and logistics and all those things, right? So, anyway, but.
Well, they fit in the sex chair.
Well, you know, but like, you're saying, so, yeah, I had to be about 2014, because I remember being in Hermosa Beach, where my best friend lives.
Love Hermosa
And
Beach.
so a friend of mine who lived here started dating a guy out there. They were there, and we met up, and he was like, have you heard of this thing, Tinder? And he was promoting it. His a friend of his had started it.
Oh, really?
And so, like, I mean, especially in the West Coast, it's startups, everybody has, you know, there's a million startups.
That makes sense.
And nobody ever knows if that startup's going to actually do anything. I mean, there was a million MySpaces. Why did MySpace work? Why there were a million Tinders,
Wait,
but
what?
why did that Tinder work? You know, like it just. There's
Well,
so many things that go on behind the scenes that you don't know.
I will say, Tinder was kind of like a new groundbreaking concept for a dating specific.
Well,
It started with Grindr.
Well, what it was,
Oh, that's
yes,
true.
Grindr's
That's true.
right, but what Tinder did that improved on all of this,
Swiping.
there was Plenty Fish, there was all these other dating sites, right? All these other things. But and even MySpace at one point was kind of even a dating site
By the
at
way, I'm
times.
still waiting for you to accept my MySpace request.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What, Tom isn't enough for you?
But what it did do,
Tom.
it took everything that people wanted and simplified it into two steps.
Yeah, exactly.
Left or right.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
wasn't time consuming.
Instead of having to write all these bio
Right.
questions.
It was like, here's three lines, swipe left, swipe right, put up a few pictures, and then figure it out from there. But like,
It also went along with everybody using their smartphones more and more and more. So, you know, you're not going to sit down and like log on to OkCupid on a browser.
okay, Cupid,
Or
yeah.
like Match.com or whatever.
Yep.
You can just like sit there.
Did you guys do any of those beforehand? I mean, I've done Plenty of Fish and I've done
Okay, Cupid, eHarmony, Match.com.
Oh, wait, maybe
anything
you
that was
did-
free,
Yeah.
I was on. And then I met a few girls through MySpace back when I first started.
Really?
Too. Yeah, because I didn't know how else to
Yeah.
meet people. So like here all of a sudden is this, like when MySpace came out, I still had dial-up, and it was like, holy shit, I see this person. I vaguely know that they're in the same area.
Yeah.
They're attractive in the picture,
Yeah.
We know how that
and it's
goes.
like, hey, so
they
what's
took
going
a photo
on?
from like the
Right,
ceiling
right, the angles thing.
of just their head.
So I mean, really, it was like, okay, cool. Here's a way to meet somebody that I would never run into any other way. Like,
Exactly.
you know, and it was like, hey, what are you doing? But I always used it as, hey, what are you doing? Let's grab coffee. I don't want to have a conversation with you for the next 3 weeks. I don't need to get to know you via this pen pal thing, because you know, in that it's no different than meeting somebody at a bar. You get 10, 15 minutes if you're lucky, right? You go up to you see somebody who's attractive. You go up to them. Hey, can I buy you a drink? Talk 5 minutes, maybe. You know, in about 10 minutes, like, do I want this person's number? Am I willing to fuck this person? Do I want to make out with this person? Do I have no interest at all?
I would argue you know that in the first minute.
I agree.
But that's a woman versus a man, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, but it's still based on looks. When you meet somebody out, unless you're meeting somebody through friends, and then you start to get to know somebody, and it happens organically, which happens, but it doesn't happen. But like, it doesn't happen all the time. But when you go up to somebody and meet somebody at a grocery store or at a bar or anywhere you go, you have a small window of time. Now all of a sudden, you're giving them your personal phone number, and you're giving them this information where when you have Tinder and Bumble and all these others, it's like, okay, well, let's meet up. If we don't get along in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, cool, great to meet you. I always get something out of it. Like, I'm always just like, wow, I never thought about that. Or, oh, you're divorced, what happened? Oh, you just did this? Oh, what's going on? Or, I don't want this in my next coffee date. Or, I definitely want this in my next coffee date. But this isn't working out. But they don't have my number. They don't have my email address. They don't have any contact.
Sure.
And if for some reason they turn out to be a crazy psycho, you just hit delete on the app, and you move on. So
is there always something in the back of your minds while you're on these dates that, oh, this person has 6 more dates lined up this week, or does that matter? Or
they probably don't, because
people use it as an excuse, though. They use it as an excuse to complain, because people always want to complain about everything. So they use it as an excuse to complain about the fact, like, oh, if you're on Tinder, then it's like, yeah, well, if you go...
Wait, finish that sentence, because people don't know what you mean by that.
So people always want to complain about everything, right? So when somebody says...
My coffee is actually not very... No, I'm kidding.
No, I mean, hey, it's not good. I don't like this mug. The lip is too thick. I don't know. Everybody has a problem with something.
You could get surgery for that.
Right. So, but no, so when people are like, they say... Wait, what were we talking about?
You were talking about people who are worried that the date they're on has another 6 dates lined up.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, if you meet somebody, you don't know if they go out every night of the week and meet somebody.
You don't know that anyway.
Don't know anything about them.
But the reality is, if you're a smart person and people are dating, majority of people are always on the lookout if you're dating.
Sure.
So for somebody to say, oh, well, you're on Tinder, you must be going on a lot of dates. Well, I met you at the local dive bar. You must be going on a lot of dates. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, to me, like, it just
depends what kind of person you are, I think.
Alex had said something to me interesting the other day when we were talking about it. And you said that people are like, oh, well, it's so surface just to look at a picture, swipe right or left or whatever. But that's life too. Like, you see a person.
Exactly. I've always said that. Like, I think people think, oh, it's so shallow, but yeah, you do the same thing when you go out. Like, you're scanning a room of faces and thinking, like, no, like, I want to talk to that person, or like, that person seems cool. I think it always, I don't know if shallow is the right word, but I think when you're meeting somebody, it always kind of starts out as that surfacey.
Well, it's realistic. Thing. You see somebody, you see a dude.
And then you talk to somebody for 10 minutes and you're like, oh, he's gay.
Well, there you go.
Most of the time.
Well, you see a dude, you see a girl. Yeah. You're judging immediately. You're judging, what are they wearing? Is that girl a slut? Is she going to give me a blowjob tonight?
Whoa!
Or is that girl not, right? Oh, is that girl a great, like, is this girl like a hometown whatever? Is she a prude? Is this, that, like, but you're constantly judging. When you see somebody across the room...
Based on what I'm wearing, can you tell I love anal?
I wasn't going to say it, but that color kind of makes me feel like you like anal. But I mean...
All the moms just went, oh my God.
No, but even you see a picture, and there's some women who are on there... Listen, you're going to put you... First picture is you in a bikini with your tits hanging out all over the place. More than likely...
See, you know what that says to me? That doesn't say slut as you close.
I'm not saying she's a slut. I'm just saying...
It says insecure. That's
it's completely insecure. Yeah. But the question is that a person that I really want? Does that fit for me?
Right.
Right? So when I see that, I'm thinking, okay, wait a second. That's probably not... If that's how they're presenting themselves with one picture, and then that might not be the right thing for me. A, I don't want an insecure person. B, I probably don't want to, I don't want to roll up to a funeral with a girl I'm dating that's wearing like a bodysuit with her tits hanging out all over, I'm like...
So you go on there to look for dates for funerals?
No, but, well, hey, wherever you can find them. Wherever you can find them.
That first date? Oh my gosh. You learn a lot about a person, I think. So,
Yeah.
okay, so you guys were both on Tinder, and then what, Bumble came along after?
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny. I don't want to really tell the story because I'll probably mess it up. But Bumble was actually founded by somebody who used to work at Tinder, who had a kind of a falling out and also like a sexual harassment lawsuit. Something dramatic happened, and this girl, Whitney, I think her last name's Wolf, she left Tinder and started her own app that was more...
She was a lone wolf.
Yeah. No.
You're welcome. You're welcome,
Her
America.
whole... I think she felt like Tinder was a little bit sexist and wanted to create something that was more female-centric, which is why on Bumble, when you're swiping through, if you match with somebody, you can't actually have a conversation until the woman reaches out. So it kind of filters out a lot of the idiots that you find on Tinder.
Here's a good question then. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good question. Here's a question I have. So it seems to me that it's no different, because when you're
Not
on
really.
Tinder, you're still filtering out what you do or don't like, and you still have the option to answer or not. So how is it?
The difference is that, so when guys go and they go send a dick pic right away, or they say, "Hey, you want to bone?"
Do people really
Hey,
do
you're.
that?
From what I've understand, people like from what I understand, like a lot of girls get those things, and then again they complain about it, and I'm like, well, just delete it. You don't need to hang on to it or bitch about it. Like there's you meet.
Well, what am I going to masturbate to? A girl needs imagery.
But when a guy goes on there, so a girl gets, and I'm not a girl obviously, but like when a girl gets gets all these hits, and then guys are sending these inappropriate messages, right? The guys who send the inappropriate messages are playing percentages.
Sure.
They're throwing 100 suck my dicks out there, right?
Sure.
Because one or two
are
are gonna say yes.
I totally agree with you on that.
And so they're playing percentages, right?
And they're going to go to a basement and get murdered.
And
not necessarily. I mean,
not necessarily, but I mean,
Hopefully.
I think that that's a good. Hey, here's my penis. Will you suck it? And then that girl's like, hey, I like to suck on penis. That seems like a lovely match.
People didn't start doing that just because it doesn't work. If it didn't work, they wouldn't keep doing it.
Yeah,
so
I
at a
don't
certain
know
point,
anyone who does that. Thankfully.
I've talked to women
Yeah.
who are on it who are like, oh my god, did you see this dick pic I got? I was like, okay, cool. There's a nice dick, I guess. What do you oh my god, he's such an asshole. I'm like, yeah, but you're sitting here talking and you're not deleting this. But anyways, to go back to that idea of like, what Bumble does is, unless you message somebody who may very well send you a dick pic, but unless you message them, you're not going to get bombarded by a ton of like, hey, come over and blow me.
Well, it's also really, at least for me, it's easy to tell based on somebody's info, based on their photos, based on maybe their Instagram that they've linked to the profile.
Sure.
It's very easy to tell what kind of person they are, even before you talk at all.
It is a little more intuitive. You can find out more about that.
Yeah,
those
I mean,
people.
it's just,
I feel like a dick pic would actually be helpful because it's the first step in seeing if they maybe have an STD. You can zoom in.
Well,
yeah, but if they're gonna put up a picture of a dick, like if they're that desperate, then they're probably gonna find a. And if they have like a problem down there, they're probably not gonna put up a picture of their dick.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna show that. At least not while it's active.
Hey guys, here's my flare up.
Yeah, or they'll at least Photoshop
You
it
know
out.
what? That would be great if people were that.
Actually, I'm gonna start a company where I Photoshop out all of that stuff on penises.
Oh.
I bet you can make a lot
It's
of
called
money.
Facetune.
Oh, you can do that?
Penis tune?
Yeah, you can.
I've hummed a few.
I'm lost on. Okay. I'm lost on many levels at the moment.
Alright,
But what I want to
go
say
ahead.
about Bumble though is like, I don't remember when Bumble came around. I have not really used it as much as Tinder, although I have had some dates from Bumble, but they've recently updated it so that once you message somebody, they only have 24 hours to reply.
Yep.
So it's supposed to kind of galvanize them into responding, but I've found that most of the time the match just disappears altogether and the conversation never even takes place. Whereas on Tinder, I mean, I don't have the app anymore, but like sometimes I would have a guy write back after like literally a year and be like, hey, what's up? You should come out tonight.
Really?
And it's like,
May have done that once or twice here or
Okay,
there
what
over
made
the
you
years.
do that? Was it a reminiscent?
Well,
moment?
maybe I was dating someone for a while, and it's like, oh yeah, because it keeps it on there, so you're like
Yeah.
scrolling down.
Sure.
You want to like do a little
what were you doing this week?
reconnaissance on your old adventures.
Oh yeah, that girl, she was cute.
Cora took me through we spent
we
20
did
minutes.
We did like a test.
Because I'm not on there.
So
She
I
said,
made-
show me what this is all about.
I made myself undiscoverable here in Nashville because, God forbid, I run into anybody who's like.
I love doing that. I love knowing when I know
you look
somebody. I
familiar.
immediately swipe right on anybody I know.
Really?
Just because.
I imagine.
I've done
The
that.
thing is, if you're not consistent about it, it's either you do all no's or all yeses.
Yeah.
I choose to do all yeses just because I want to see the reaction from people.
From the
But
people you know.
the people I know.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't really want to meet anybody that way here, and I don't want to.
Now, why? What's the difference?
I don't know.
How do you want to meet
It
somebody?
feels, compared to LA, it does feel like a small town where you.
A lot less people.
I mean, I've only been here since the beginning of June. It's now almost August, and I've run into the same people like multiple times. Where it's like.
Well, you're also in an industry
That's true.
that is smaller. It's an
that's
insular
true.
situation.
Yeah, it is.
I have a friend.
but-
We have a mutual friend actually that bartends, and he's like, dude, you totally messed everything up. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, anytime I see that you like, he just assumes that I pretty much fuck every girl that I see or that I know.
Yeah, you have that vibe.
And so, right. So obviously,
you
apparently,
definitely have the fuckboy outfit down.
yeah, I guess so. Apparently so, because he's just like, as soon as I see that you're friends with him, I'm like, son of a bitch, swipe left. He's like,
oh, that's Brent, isn't it?
yeah, and he's just like, every time it's like, shit, you know what? I
love
should
that.
probably fucked him. Next. He just doesn't want to be Eskimo brothers.
Yeah.
Eskimo
I hate that term. But
Why do you hate that term?
How did that
I don't
term
know.
even come to be?
I don't know. It's cold and it's
Well,
because of
Eskimo.
It just makes me think of like cold penises.
But have you ever seen The League?
No. Should
If
I?
you saw The
Oh,
League,
that's a great
it's
show.
really fun.
Nick Kroll,
They turn it into a really funny. It's all about Eskimo brothers and like
Is Nick Kroll not the funniest guy?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, he's so funny.
But so, what was I gonna say?
Nick
I
Kroll, if you're
apologize.
listening, give me a call.
Give me a crawl.
Give me a call.
Oh. Okay, so I wanna run through. Well, first of all, so I turned on my like profile so that I could show Susan what Tinder is like, and I think there was maybe one person that I swiped right on.
I was shocked. She just kept swiping left, and I just assumed left was the good one.
No.
And then suddenly, she's swiping right on one. I said, wait a minute. And then I saw I kind of glanced at the top of it. Was nope. And I was like,
Okay.
And then
wait,
your
I had
shirtless
it
photo
backwards.
on. You're like,
See?
oh, now I see why you're swiping
So
right.
this is an example by.
we had different taste. Which
We
I
do.
think is good.
Yeah. But when I was still in LA and I was like actively on it, I took a lot of screenshots because some of this shit is just.
Yeah, I want to hear some stories.
It just gets. Yeah, I'll tell you some stories. It just gets to be such a cliche the way that people set up their profile. Like, I have found, especially in LA, like. Everybody has like 8 different ways to say they're unemployed. Like they're like an adventure enthusiast and like a beer connoisseur and and like a professional nap taker. It's like, what is wrong with you? Can you just tell me what you actually
I
do?
haven't had a nap in 7 years.
But anyhow,
I like naps.
so this was a screenshot that I took and sent to a friend because I just couldn't believe. We had been talking about like how awful Tinder bios were. This guy wrote 6'1", so it's customary to put your height.
Sure.
Gym and vodka enthusiast with a muscle emoji. Travel addict in parentheses. Seriously, I'm everywhere with a plane. And
That's pretty good. I'm taking notes right now.
MBA from Kellogg with a graduate's cap emoji. Strategist turned entrepreneur with the glasses emoji. Only the adventurous need apply. And his first photo is just like his abs.
They are nice. I'll give him
He
that.
does have some abs, but yeah.
But this is this is kind of commonplace now. Like people
It's a
just
lot of
list.
emojis. That's over emoji. He over
It
emojis.
is. It's too much. But that's kind
Although
of
I
the
am
going
a
rate.
fan of. I personally enjoy the hilarity of a good emoji response.
I just think it's really easy to tell when people are using them in earnest versus being a little ironic or like subversive with them.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
This is
You
the
could tell
subversive
he
one,
was
isn't it? The one where
completely-
they're like
Yeah.
going like the arm in the air. That's a subversive.
Resist. But like you could tell he was completely serious. Anyhow,
See, now
so
that-
that's not somebody I would ever message.
But wouldn't you just be so intrigued just to go have coffee with this guy and see what he was? I would be so
No.
enthralled by that.
No.
I think if I had nothing else
That's
going
what I'm
on,
saying.
possibly,
Like,
yeah.
it would
Oh,
be.
God,
I can't
no.
believe people aren't writing books.
I
about
would
these
rather
people.
be in my apartment with my amazing roommate and the cat and watching
Yeah.
some terrible episode of The Bachelor.
So what kind of picture though? What attracts you to, if you're on Bumble and like you're swiping around, what attracts you to saying, you know what? Like,
like that guy.
because
Yeah.
because I love people are like, oh, I don't want someone to take selfies. So what the hell
Yeah.
do you do? Of course you take selfies because it's a picture of you, and unless you're gonna do a photo shoot,
Yeah.
you're gonna take a selfie.
I
So
think,
what is it that like
I don't have...
works?
Alex
I'm
is
writing-
getting very
I'm-
upset.
I get very worked up about things like this.
I personally hate selfies.
Well, how do you know what a person looks like if they don't take
So
a
then how are they gonna get their picture
Hopefully
taken?
they're out and about and doing things
Some
enough
random person.
in their real life
Oh.
to have had a photo taken of them in a natural setting and they happen to
But
look
isn't-
good while
isn't-
doing it.
Isn't that unnatural,
No.
technically?
But when do you
I
take
mean,
photos?
for
You take
people at
with you're
work,
with like a
if I play a show and somebody takes a photo,
I see.
that's something I'll put up because
Okay.
it shows like here I am doing what I love and I didn't like take 20 different versions of this in
Yeah.
the bathroom, you know.
So when I put my picture of like 1 foot up on like the monitor and I'm like cock rocking move, that's a cool photo, right? Because I didn't take it. It's
Right.
not a selfie.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I'm doing what I love.
think, like-
I'm cock rocking.
I think
Yeah.
you should show pictures of your tattoos. Though they're beautiful on your.
They
thing.
are, yeah, they're very.
They're really
I love
lovely.
that. Is it a hummingbird?
It's a lark.
A
one of
lark!
the
like
only
that.
birds that can sing while they fly.
Really?
I can't even do that. I did it once on the plane. People got mad. They threw peanuts at me. It's
No, they
terrible.
Now, do you if
Anyhow.
a guy has a guitar, are you one of those like, hey, musician, no way, next?
Oh no, I because I want to be alone forever. I usually go for musicians.
Got it.
So what draws you in when you see? Obviously, it's not the boobs. We heard that already. Which
Don't get me wrong, I like boobs.
I know.
Do you have
I know.
any examples of like a perfect profile or somebody that?
Or imperfect, for that matter.
Let me see. I mean, I don't know. You know, like I just like that's cute. That's a cute photo. It's just here's
Yeah,
it's
I
a
don't
selfie.
mind.
It's
I don't
like
mind.
Cute.
there's
That's a
nothing
cute
like
picture.
saying, you know,
That's just a girl in her car taking a
like here's yeah. So
It's
here
not
she's
obnoxious.
okay. She's cute.
Some
It's a
selfies are
selfie in
You
a
know,
car.
I look at this girl.
Okay, I'm a singer. I like to
Wait,
do
wait,
what I'm
wait.
doing.
First of all, I look at this girl and I think, wow, that is a stunning young woman.
She's very pretty,
She's
wholesome,
how
which she is not at all.
getting- She
But-
wasn't wholesome, so you already.
I would
hooked
say
up?
she's not.
You can
I've
say
heard she was not a
You
yeah.
heard.
Oh, you
Yeah.
heard.
Now I want to know more about that.
No.
But just saying that, just
I hate the word wholesome
it's
though. Like,
which,
what does that
oh,
mean?
I think I know her. Oh no, I don't know her. It shocks me that that woman isn't just going about her life and having someone come up to her saying, "Hey,
Well, she probably is,
yeah." Okay.
but you know,
Yeah,
it's just
people
another.
are pretty not shy but awkward anymore. I think we've
Yeah.
lost that. That's the unfortunate thing. I understand the
Right.
ease of things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this, but we've lost the art of seduction. We've lost the art of communication. You know,
Yeah.
and maybe I just belong in the
Well,
1800s.
Like that's a cute photo.
mean-
I'd see that and be like, okay, here, this is attractive
Okay,
girl,
and
right?
like, yeah,
and I'd be like,
it's her
and
Halloween
this she must be like
costume.
she's Halloween in it. She obviously cut out some dude that she was on a date with. Okay, cool, great, right?
Her
Or
eyes,
maybe just her,
she's-
like,
she looks like a minx. I
friend.
would definitely.
You know, and that kind of says, oh, all right,
That's
cool.
awful. I
No,
would never meet
You're
that
like,
person.
you're giving me a little
Nope.
added. This is just
Okay.
with friends.
For people listening, this girl had one cute Halloween photo, and then the other one,
the
she
duck
was
lips.
throwing up
The peace
throwing
sign.
up a peace sign and duck lips in a car.
No, it wasn't
selfie.
duck lips. She stuck her tongue out, but it was like in a kind of like a
Awesome.
playful way.
No, it
But
didn't
see,
look
that's
playful.
the difference. Here we
See,
are.
I think like a play. I think like
See?
I want somebody that's going to be able to
Yeah.
have that's going to have fun, and I could say inappropriate jokes, and they'd be like,
Absolutely.
okay, cool, you know. So I
People
want
that
somebody
don't
who's
take
going to be a little
themselves
like,
seriously. But don't
yeah.
you feel like anyone on these apps probably can handle a joke or two because they're on apps?
No.
But I mean, there's-
because there's so many. The crazy part about when you message somebody is that you have no idea about what they've been through, right?
Sure.
And because you're not, and especially somebody like me who can be very dry, it's like when I say something, most of the time doesn't go over in person, let alone via text, right? So I'll make a joke or I'll say something, and I don't know if they were in a destructive relationship. I don't know if they just got divorced. I don't know if they just got out of a relationship with a musician. I say the one wrong word, like, well, is that all you want? All you want me to do is give you? I said give you blowjobs and this and that. I'm like, whoa! I didn't even say the word blowjob. I was just saying like I would just make some joke. I don't even know what I even said. I forget already. And now all of a sudden
emoji.
I'm like, obviously there's
Sounds
some
like
issues.
You're talking to some very unhinged young ladies.
That's why I like to meet right away. I'm like, you know what?
in bed, I hear. So it's the more
No, I
unhinged,
think
the better in bed.
the difference between
Sometimes.
men and women is
One is a penis.
I have to have
Not anymore.
some like I don't want to
Basically not
chat for
It's not
like
true anymore.
2 or 3 days, but I think if you're gonna match with somebody and they seem cool and you seem cool, then I have to have some level of conversation before meeting because I have to know that they can put together a sentence, that they have some sense of humor.
But then now we're talking
Capable of
we're talking
syntax.
about 10th grade English grammar now. But like
Not
not
really.
everybody is like
Cut
now all
out
of a sudden we have
people.
now you're judging them not only on their content but their use of punctuation and
Absolutely.
grammar.
Absolutely.
And what if somebody just happens to like I mean misspelling's the worst. That's really bad. But at the same time, I don't know. I like to meet somebody right away. I'm always like, what are you doing tomorrow? Like, let's grab coffee. 30 minutes, coffee, buy my coffee, let's go.
I feel like I would be on Alex's team with that because I don't want to. A long, lengthy.
Because what if I start to like this
long,
person?
lengthy-
Like, what if I start to be like, okay, this person, like, this seems really cool, and then I meet them, and they're
Yeah,
nothing
makes
like that in person.
Well,
Yeah,
the thing
no,
is-
I definitely, and
yeah.
I'm such a, with me, the empathic
It's a vibe
bit.
thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think also just for me personally, like communication and like texting banter is super important in a relationship. So if you can't like give me that out of the gate, then I'm not gonna want to meet.
What
you.
if on the date you say, all right, pull out your phone, we're gonna have a little banter.
That's weird.
Well, how many times have we seen that, though? Literally on a
it's
date
so
where they're both, and they're
sad.
probably, and sometimes they're texting each other, sometimes they're texting other
Probably
people.
not a first date,
No. But it still makes
Yeah.
me kind of, I do get bummed out at that, actually.
but oh, this is interesting.
Not that it's
though.
any of my business, but I
So,
think, oh man, talk to each other.
So a couple months after being on Tinder, I met this guy, and we happened to live really close to each other. We met up at a bar that was really close to our houses, and it was after being on like a few dates already. It was the first date where I sat down and I was like, yes, I like this person. Like immediately, I was just like, oh, thank God he's cute. Like I already like feel the vibe, you know. And we like chatted a little bit. He was kind of like antsy and almost like wouldn't let me finish my sentences. He would just be like, oh, okay, oh, I got it, like blah blah blah.
Was
You
it
know what I
nerves
mean?
or was that his personality?
I think it was his personality.
Okay.
Also, he had a this is gonna show how judgmental I am, but he
We
had
already
a,
know from the last 15 minutes. Go on.
he had a tattoo on his arm that said "Open your eyes" in like typewriter font, and each word was capitalized like it was a title. And I was like, so tell me about your tattoo. And he was like, got this the day I moved from Mississippi to LA. And like that was it. That was the whole story.
Did you ask him? Did it open his eyes? Did LA open, or
I don't know.
Did he need
I
to
don't
open
know.
his eyes?
I think he like directed commercials or something. So I don't know. But he also volunteered that he had love in Japanese down his spine. So those were like little red flags. Then
Why are those red flags
because
for you?
Because they're just kind of meaningless. Like I don't know. I don't think he had any particular involvement. Yeah, with Japanese. It was just like, this would be cool. You know. I think it was just sort of shallow. I don't know.
No, this is the beauty of meeting people. It's amazing.
What's the worst?
Well, this is what happened on this particular date. So we were talking. Maybe this is a mistake, but we were talking about our experiences on Tinder, on a Tinder date, and we like.
It's very meta.
Yeah, and so we both pulled our phones out to like compare and show each other our Tinders, which sounds like a euphemism, but it's not. And he was like, "Oh my god, like there are so many hookers on this thing, you wouldn't believe it." And I was like, "Wait, really? That's crazy!" Like, and so he was swiping through and trying to show me examples, and like trying to find some hookers.
Real hookers?
Yeah, real.
I mean, that's a great marketing idea for a
well,
sex
it's a
worker.
Great avenue for them to have. But then he stopped at least like 2 or 3 times to be like, "Oh, she's cute," and like
that's
and like
tacky.
swiped right
on the dates.
No, this is our very first
ballsy.
and last date. It was just kind of like, okay, what is this? Like, we're not bros, you know? Like, this is the first time we're meeting.
Yeah.
It was just sort of tacky.
So what happened on the second date?
We did not.
I'm kidding.
Go on the second date, but it was funny because
I just keep saying when I'm joking because nobody knows.
But do you think though, like that was his way? Okay, it was an immature way of doing it. You know, coming from not the most mature person all the time, but like that sounds to me like it was his way of saying, "I am not interested in this scenario."
Well, the
and so
problem
I'm
is,
gonna try and figure out like how to say that without not saying, because people are pussies and they don't.
I don't think he actually felt that way, because he was kind of like, when we were leaving the bar, he was like, "So what happens now? Like, do you want to come over?" Like, he literally he wanted to keep it going.
Didn't really understand that maybe that was inappropriate.
Right.
Yeah. And then he like texted me the next day, and it just
was that your worst Tinder experience?
It wasn't the
It's
best.
not that bad. It seems like.
I've never had like a super terrible date.
Well, that's good.
Because I'm so picky, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely had dates where like I just couldn't wait for it to be over, and then I had to make up some lie about like why I couldn't stay for a second drink.
I have the best lie.
What is it?
Nobody will ever say anything if you just say I have diarrhea. I'm sorry, I have diarrhea right now. Because number one, some guy, if the guy will be like, "Holy shit, you just said diarrhea." Number one, and I don't normally hear that coming out of a girl's mouth. Number two, no problem. There's no other like, "Oh, are you okay?" Like, see, if it was me, if you said it to me, I'd be like, "Oh, well, wait a second, hold on. Like, is everything okay? Like, I have this tush wipe in my pocket. Do you need to use it? Like, I'm like, no. It's like, oh, I got some Tums in my right pocket. Like, what? Is there anything I can do? But the average person is going to say, no problem. Yeah, go ahead, take care. Because there's nothing.
I don't know if I could say that.
I probably could.
If you say it though, that is your out.
If you're not interested in somebody, then it doesn't really matter. But
I'd be like, my bacterial vaginosis is really acting up. I'm super itchy. I gotta go get the cream.
Bam, done. Well, I mean, diarrhea. Nobody's going to have sex with you while you have diarrhea.
That's true.
Nobody's gonna go into.
There's fetishes. Haven't you seen Two Girls One Cup?
What are the chances you're on the date with the one guy that's like, oh my god, I'm so turned on right now?
Right. It's like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. Let's do it.
Let's
just do this.
Oh man. I usually just say. Not to take the conversation away from this inspiring place we ended up, but
please.
I usually just say like, oh, I have a super early morning tomorrow. Like I told my producer friend I'd help out on the set of a commercial or something like I can't really do that here. Very LA, where it's like everybody has wacky schedules and like you never really know.
Sure.
I got a reading tomorrow. Does. I gotta go home and read my sides.
I've got so many scripts piled up.
Seriously, yeah.
Alex, your worst one. I feel like it's gonna be epic.
No, honestly, I don't really. I've been in situations where it's like I've been completely like blindsided by something, or somebody doesn't look like somebody, or I'm like, this is just not good. But I always try and set myself up to succeed in the sense that like I'm always like, all right, let's meet at 2:00. I have something at 3. You know, and like it always gives me an out. And then all of a sudden, if I really like what's happening, I'm like, you know, I'm gonna move it. You know what I mean? Like I can move it around, and
I've done that.
And it's just
I hate being.
It's like a phone call or anything else. It's like if you set aside a certain amount of time, and then honestly, like even if it's somebody that I'm not attracted to, or like, I still feel like I get something out of it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I still feel like I'm kind of curious. It's like, all right, I got 30 minutes here. I spent $5 on this coffee. Let's get, whatever. One thing I have done, though, to make it very, very clear that I do not want to probably see this person again is when they're like, oh, you want to grab it if we're getting food or something. Can we grab the check? So, like, yeah, separate or, like, we'll take two.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But at the same time...
Well, I usually do that, though, if I don't... I'll be like, I'll pay for mine.
Yeah, because it seems weird to make a guy you just...
I don't mind buying somebody something at first, but it always bothers me when the girl doesn't offer, though.
Oh, well, that's
always, every time.
Such a bad
it goes
move.
back to the old school.
Yeah.
When I unlock
you
your
have to
door,
offer.
by the time I get around to the other side, my door better be unlocked, or we're probably never going to hang out again.
Right. I'm an old-fashioned girl. I have to admit, I do like doors opened.
That's great.
I like all that stuff.
I'm not looking for a cookie. I'm not looking for.
No, I'm reciprocal.
But I'm like, just to say like, oh, are you sure? Or hey, that's okay. It's like, don't worry, I got it. It's not a big deal. It's not a manliness thing.
Well, the thing is,
it's a respect thing.
It's polite to
well,
offer
Matthew
to
Hussey, who's like the dating guru. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No. I love that his last name is Hussey.
He's amazing. He has awesome.
Is that his real last name?
It is, yeah. He's this very like charming British guy who like knows everything about relationships and talks about things in a really.
Is he single?
I don't know, but he's very beautiful.
Interesting.
But he always says that obviously you have to offer, because if you don't, then you take away that like opportunity for glory for the guy to be like, no, I got it. Like, let them have that,
I see what you're saying.
Because otherwise, it's just a bad dynamic overall.
I agree with that. But people would argue that...
I would never just sit there and... I mean, I know some girls that are like, oh, I never pull my wallet out. Like, no.
Your voices are great for all these people.
I only like about 5 people. Just in general. No, I love everybody.
Best date that at the end you thought yes, and then it didn't end up working out.
Oh, I have a really good example. This was actually only like in January. I met this guy who was really, really smart, like really funny, had so much fun just like talking with him leading up to it. And then we met, actually, it was funny. I think our date was on Inauguration Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we were both like bummed out, but like determined to have a good time. And we just like met at this bar. I just knew I was gonna like him. It was one of those things where like I just kind of had a feeling. And like immediately just not awkward at all. Like there were no pauses whatsoever. We just had such a great time chatting and hanging out. And like I was a little buzzed already because I had come from my friend's dinner party. So it was just like, and I was at my favorite bar. Shout out to 4100 Bar in Silver Lake.
Oh, Silver Lake. Things
really
are all
good,
starting to make sense here. Okay, got it. Go on.
Really good bar for dates though, because they have.
Is that in California? I assume.
It's in LA.
It's the East Nashville, the Brooklyn.
It is pretty hip.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's fun. And this bar is particularly unpretentious because it's not. Like a lot of places in LA try to be something they're not, sort of like the people there. And
I think that's people everywhere.
I don't know, is it?
You have kind of you and LA need to,
you and LA need to have a sit down.
Yeah, a little sit down talk.
I'm very
squash
I have conflicted feelings because I miss it, but I'm like,
beefs.
Yeah. Well, it's such a weird place.
It is.
But I love it. But I'm not there anymore. Anyway. So we were sitting and talking for a really long time, and just like, it was really easy to flirt with him too, which is like number one for me. Like if I don't feel inclined to touch you within the first 20 minutes, then like,
that's important.
It's probably not gonna go anywhere. So anyway, we were just hanging out, like having a really good conversation, and then he was like, well, what should we do now? And we decided to like get in his car and drive up to the top of Mulholland.
Oh,
and it was like super cute because we parked the car, got out, like made out outside the car. Aww. And then this like police car pulled up and was like, what are you guys doing? And in that voice, and and then he was like, well, we probably won't be coming back this way, so whatever happens, happens.
What? The cop said that?
Yeah. And
good for him.
And we were just like, awesome. But it was super fun. He's like pushing me up against the car, and like the view is so beautiful because it's just like Los Angeles all lit up, and I was like, I love this guy. No, but we ended up
ghosted you.
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, we had made like tentative plans to hang out a few days later, and then he didn't really reach out until that evening to say that like he wasn't feeling well and like had to reschedule. And it sounded genuine, but then he didn't bother to reschedule. Then a few months later, my friend was on my Tinder, swiped right on him, and we matched again. I guess he made like a new profile because you can't, if you've matched with somebody, you can't match again unless they like delete and remake a profile. So we matched again, and he reached out like immediately and was like, oh, sorry, like, hey, you probably don't want to hear from me. I was sick for like a long time and then didn't reach out. And I was like, oh, Cora probably doesn't want to hear from me again, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh boy, like my friend swiped right on you, but like nice to hear.
So you just kiboshed it?
No. So I told him at this point I was planning to move here to Nashville. And I told him that, and he was like, that's super exciting. Like, you know, is it a positive thing? Blah, blah, blah. And he asked me if I wanted to meet up again.
Go make out in Mulholland.
He was like, do you want to get a drink before you move? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And he flaked on that, too. I was like, this is unbelievable.
Weird. Maybe he got nervous.
I don't know. He's weird.
I gotta wonder too if that experience of meeting someone and having that first date that's
like so intoxicating.
This is exciting.
Yeah.
It's the honeymoon period.
Yeah.
But honeymoon period are now a few hours.
I've had that happen so many times. Not so many times, but like a handful of times where I have this like amazing first experience hanging out with somebody, whether I like meet them at a party or like meet them online. Like I've had the same thing happen where we just have like the best time ever, and they end up like leaving really late at night, and then we're both like, you know, see you again at this point in time, and then they just kind of peter out, and it's like, I don't know what that's about. I mean,
it's an adrenaline rush.
I don't take it personally, but it sucks.
I feel like for people that just get jacked on things, you know, the people that have runner's highs or jump out of airplanes or whatever, it's that same sort of, it's probably feeding the same part of the brain. I mean, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I'm going to guess that it's probably very pleasurable to have that first date.
Yeah.
And if you can repeat that feeling.
But why can't it lead to something, you know?
Well, because, I think,
very instant
we're also living in a place in the last 5 years, 10 years even, you know, but definitely in the last 5, where we live in a society that we have everything at the, you know, literally in the palm of our hands, right? So we have information immediately anymore. We have, look at politics, look at all these different things. But so now, before it was like you go meet somebody, and you're probably not going to meet somebody unless you go out again, or you go to a party, or you have some friends. But now we have access to meeting so many people. So now you can get that high over and over and over and over as much as you want, where you want to get it.
That's what I'm saying.
And so like, and there's always, and we live in this idea that we want, you know, it's like where we have access to so many things. So it's like, well, this was really cool, but well, what if this other person's better? Yeah. Oh, well, that was really cool, but man, I still have this other, you know, now, because back in the day, we didn't see the sea, right?
No, I think
it's creating the grass is so green over there.
I've said that too to other friends that have, I mean, I have so many friends that have had such similar experiences where like, they'll meet somebody, it'll be great, and then they just don't really see each other again because there is this kind of
smorgasbord,
almost like farcical array of options where you think that there's so much out there and you want to make sure you have the best thing, but there's not really. I mean,
some people do get married off.
Well, and it's a double-edged sword because in, you know, just like information, it's like, you know, you see something, you meet somebody that you may never meet in your circle. Ever in your entire life. So now all of a sudden you meet somebody that, like, I've met people who I'm like, I would have never met this person. I go on to date them for, you know, an extended period of time.
I like importing. And I like it when they're not. Anyway.
But in turn,
I like them to be vetted by my friends. But then they also turn into fuckers. So.
Well, I mean, you know, I get it, but it's like, it's a good and bad thing. It's a really great, we have this great opportunity to know so much. and meet so many different people, but then in turn,
Yeah.
we have the ability to meet way too many people.
Do you get their last names too before you go on the date?
Absolutely.
So do you Google them?
Absolutely.
I always Google and I always research, but I usually don't ask them for their last name right away.
It's funny how we've taken away that excitement from ourselves as well, because once you
I try
Google
not
somebody,
to do too much
I just want to know they
excavating.
aren't murderers.
Yeah. I think it's good to like.
There's always a first murder.
Well, I always use the line of like, but
Yeah.
I always just like, hey, do you want to like need a picture of my license or something?
What?
Like, I swear I'm not like a murderer or
Don't do
something.
that.
Don't do that. That seems weird.
Okay.
You could get into some identity theft. with
That's
that.
true.
Don't do
So
that.
your best date that you thought, and then it turned out not so much.
Oh, I had a good date, and then we went on to date for a while. But gosh, there's been a handful that were really good, and then we didn't talk again, which was always weird.
It is weird. It's like, what the fuck?
I mean,
Or a worst date scenario, because I don't think we asked you that, did we?
Sure.
worst date scenario. Like I
Those are
said,
always
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, there's not many. I've always made the best of every situation, and I've never really had a bad date. I don't think. Like, in the sense that like I've had people not call me back, or like maybe I really like them and I probably text them too much afterwards, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're a crazy person," or something like that. But I don't know. I'm boring, I guess, that way. I mean, I always have.
You must have had something where you're like, cannot believe I just wasted that amount of time.
This just sounds so confusing to me. Like I met somebody at a function, and I felt there was chemistry, but I'm very bad at this.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think, well, maybe it's just friend chemistry, because even with your friends, there's still like a kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just normal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm heterosexual, so I'm talking about opposite sex friends.
Yeah.
But we texted back and forth a little bit, just again, friends, what do you do? What are you into? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, oh, well, like when I talk with my girlfriends that I just met, we kind of get a lay of the land, sort of like,
Yeah.
oh, do you want to go see this kind of movie? Do you like this kind of music? We can go do this, whatever. And then he said, out of the blue one night, do you like, and then he named a particular concert, musician. And I said, yeah, I do very much. And he said, oh, well, he's coming to town and playing. I was like, cool. And I thought, well, okay. And then he said, and like about 10 minutes later, he said, do you want to go? And I said, yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
And that was the last I heard from him. And it's in a couple weeks. And I thought, in a month. And this was just a few days ago. But I thought, wait a minute, is that a date? I don't even understand what just happened. Like, and I wanted to, and I almost texted back and say, just so I know, is this just a hanging out thing or a date thing? But I don't want to text somebody that. That's a conversation to be had in front of
I throw it out there.
You
No.
know?
I think I just throw things out there.
Strange.
In
Like,
the
to
first
ask
10
somebody
minutes,
up over text is weird to me.
No, I agree.
I throw it all out there. In the first 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, just so you know, I have like 3 friends, and I fucked all 3 of them, and about 20 years ago. So if that's a problem, let's get that out of the way right now. Like, I just like bam, 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 bam.
This is autobiographical, because this is actually true of Alex.
But
right?
but then in turn, this is actually true. But in turn, like then women feel like, because I throw a lot of stuff out there and I ask about them and I want to know like what they've gone through and why didn't a relation work out, or I love hearing why. Like, oh, you were married for a year and then you got divorced, and like, but you were together for 5 or 6 years. Like, if you feel comfortable, I'd love to know why. Like, I just love information. But then sometimes I'm interested in that person, sometimes I'm not. And where I get into trouble is where next thing you know, they think that like I'm interested in them as in a romantic way.
Yeah, it's confusing.
And so then they're like, well, this person would never ask me these things. And I'm like, well, why not? So
see, and I am very curious,
and that's why I throw that out there in the text. Like, if I'm confused about something, I'm like, all right, so here's the deal.
Yeah.
Like, is this a friend thing? Is this not a friend thing? Or do you want to hang out again? If you don't, we're adults. Like, my biggest pet peeve with these especially these sites is like they hide behind this idea, and people in general aren't always upfront,
right,
But like, I mean, I feel like an idiot if I keep texting you and you're not interested, or vice versa. But anyway, like.
But you say that we're adults, so to me, if you're gonna ask somebody out, like, either do it in person or pick up the phone and call them. But see, again, that might be my weird old-fashionedness, and I know it's not very hip.
Some people don't actually like. Some people love the phone call, and some people really don't like the phone call.
I don't like to talk on the phone, but when you're asking somebody out, I don't know, there seems something.
It just depends.
I think it's because for me, that way I can read your energy. If I can't read your energy, texting. And that's where the emojis come in, I suppose. I have no idea what you're saying. This is why
I, like, sort of hate dating, because...
Oh, me too.
I think, like, my best experiences have been the ones where it started out feeling very, like, friend vibe, and then it just sort of naturally progressed to something more. Yeah. Because I know whoever I end up with, they have to be a really good friend first. Right.
Yeah.
Not necessarily first, but just there has to be that layer there of like, oh, we're just human beings who really enjoy each other's company, and it doesn't always have to be like, well, don't I look sexy today, babe? Like, that's not me at all. So, and I do know a lot of girls that are like that. So I just want to be like worshipped.
Like to be told.
Absolutely.
That they look nice. I think that's pretty.
Yeah.
But the phone call thing too also has gotten me in trouble where it's. I mean, I talked to this one girl. And she traveled a lot. But I talked to her for like 2 weeks. We talked almost every day. Like for like 30 minutes, you know, and like I hadn't met her yet. It was like when she got back in town, we were gonna like, you know, meet up and hang out and this and that. And 2 weeks go by, she's in town, she's like, oh, I'm really crazy busy this weekend, but as soon as the weekend's over, and then I never heard from her again. And I'm like, I spent all this time talking to you.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and all that. So like, that is a waste of time.
If your end game is to be dating someone, yes. But see, I'm like you. I'm very curious about people. I love strangers. Right. So I'll strike up in bars. I'll just start talking to the person next to me. If it happens to be a guy, then there's that moment where I find it actually pretty funny now. I'll hear people like insert, oh, my girlfriend or my wife. I'm like, oh, no, not hitting on you. Just having a conversation. Trust me, you would know if I was hitting on you. I feel like I do have some game, not a lot, but some. Although I can never tell when other people are hitting on me unless it is so overt. I've been on entire hangouts or whatever with people, and at the end, had no idea it was a date and been shocked. Like, oh, wait, what? No, I'm so sorry. And then I rack my brain, like, did I give off some sort of signal that I wasn't aware of? You know? Yeah. Was I dressed like a whore, Alex?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Tinder, I think Bumble, I think all that stuff they're great tools. I mean,
yeah, they can be.
I think that, like, I think I told you this before. My analogy to people is who always bitch about it is like,
You're just as shallow as the app. Well, yeah, basically.
No, you have two hands. You can find a hose. You can hook it up to a spigot or something and get some soap and wash your car, right? And it'll take you. Well, I'm still not a lot of ways. Oh my Lord. You can go wash your car, right? It takes 30 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on, by the time you clean, or by the time you clean yourself up, or you can go and you spend $3, you go through the car wash, you're done in 2 minutes, and you're onto your day. Right now, we live in a world where we don't have a lot of time, so we're doing things, right? So when you're on, it's like, I don't want to go out every night. I only have like one friend, so I'm like, okay, well, if I don't meet anybody through that friend, then I'm not going to meet anybody.
Trying to figure out which one.
So you see, I'm going to let you guys duke it out. And then, and it's like, there's only so many grocery stores and libraries and all those things. So to me, it's like, if I can meet somebody that like that I wouldn't be, that I wouldn't meet somewhere else, and if I meet somebody at a bar, like I don't want to have to like sit there and buy you drinks till 2 a.m. just to like hope to get your number or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's just like, or compete with 3 other dudes. Like I'm either you want to swap numbers and we'll talk later,
right?
Or you don't. But I'm not going to play this game of there's 2 other guys, there's 2 other whatever, and so and you could, like I said, you could delete it when you don't, if you don't like the person, if you don't like what they have to say, you delete it and you move on.
I'm trying to decide if you've all convinced me to try it out or not.
Absolutely, I'm setting up a profile for you.
You are.
I think you should.
Try it out for like a month.
Well, there's no reason not to. It's like it doesn't cost you anything. Yeah. And it's only as much time as you allow it to take.
Yeah.
It's basically like okay, you only have so many places you can be at once. This gives you a portal to be in more places where people can approach you without actually having to be there.
And you get to decide how you are portrayed. Another thing
exactly.
I really love.
Well, by that description, I'm hoping a theoretical physicist contacts me.
Well,
maybe they will.
you know what? Literally, right in. This is
Maybe
what I'm
we
looking
just
for.
set up
If
your
you're
next
not,
Or just...
down thumb emoji.
Susan is single, and
I think it's painfully
surprise!
obvious.
This whole episode is actually...
No, we already covered
No,
this in a
okay.
couple episodes back where Ellen suddenly made sure everyone knew I was single. I don't think that's not a shock to anyone.
But it's amazing how people represent themselves. I'm blown. Like, part of like swiping around is, it amazes me how people represent themselves. Like, here are these 2 pictures, or 1 picture, or 3 pictures, and this is what you think is your best representation. Like,
I know.
it's very interesting. Like, just in human
how we
nature.
see ourselves completely different than how other people see us.
Yeah, so
I don't even want to know how people see me.
What do you think is your best quality, Alex?
Well, that's a good question.
I think I am. Well, I know. I mean, besides the boobs comment and all that stuff, I think I'm very non-judgmental. Like, I'm very open-minded in the sense where I can sit there and I won't judge you for you. Like, I feel like I can get people to talk to me about pretty much almost anything, and I'm not going to judge you for it. I'm curious about it. I may like it or may not like it, but I never want. I don't ever feel like I make somebody feel bad for something they did or that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm very consistent.
That's
Like, what you see is what you get, and so like when you, the same from the first day you meet me to the day you break up with me.
You're gonna have those baby wipes in your
You're gonna love.
pocket.
They love
Case of
everything.
diarrhea.
They always hate me for the things they love me for.
That's
always.
classic. That's classic.
Like, what's gonna happen? It's gonna change. I'm obviously gonna change.
No, that's a classic. That then you find adorable all the things that you won't be able to stand when you break up. Cora, what's your best feature? Or not feature, but trait.
I think I am a pretty warm, open-hearted person. Even though I'm
unless you're from LA.
Even though I'm like, no, I love LA. I mean, I would say, even though I'm like a little bitchy, hopefully in a good way, I think
the good bitch. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a good bitch.
The good bitch of the north.
Good bitch, bad bitch. That would be the name of my
Wizard of Oz
memoir.
Part 2.
I actually started writing a song the other day called "Kind of a Bitch," about how I am kind of a bitch. But I'm not really. I think all of my favorite people are like a little bitchy in a good way.
Snarky.
Spicy.
Yeah,
you like
snarky.
spice.
Exactly. But I
Sarcastic.
think that the thing I like most about myself personally would be my sense of humor, but from what other people have told me, it would just be that I'm genuine and warm and open to connecting with someone.
You're open to anything that doesn't have a 6-pack on a picture or too many emojis.
I'm not open to
or selfies.
people who describe themselves as adventure enthusiasts. But
yeah, and I'd also
everyone
like to
else.
point out from earlier, I'm actually not into anal. One time in college, I was a long-term boyfriend, so just saying.
You know, I've never had anal sex.
I have
my
not
entire
either.
life.
I don't feel like there's gonna be people listening that will disagree. Some people love it, but I
I'm
feel
not
like-
against it. It's not for lack of trying.
I mean, I've had it like almost slip in
Oh,
there by
that's
accident.
happened, yeah.
but-
Whoa, wrong one, yeah. Well, anyway, wow, what a thing to end on. Should we?
Yeah. Should we move on to the next? Is anal sex the next podcast that we're gonna?
I don't really understand the appeal. It's like
Well, for,
It's just a
for
thing.
men,
I get it,
There's
yeah.
prostate gland. For women, I think it does feel good. Not to get too specific, but there have been
Black
occasional.
girls like the fingers.
There you go.
Ones,
See,
people.
yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
Because it's a very
Yeah.
sensitive area.
yeah.
So there is that.
Yeah, I guess if you know your way around. Anyhow,
You gotta know your way around.
You do. The next app.
I would love to just watch you swipe. I mean,
that
I
would
know
be
that's not going to
entertaining.
be like
That's not
anything.
entertaining for them
No,
because they
it's
can't
not.
see
They
it,
can't
but
see
it
anything.
would be interesting to see
But-
actually.
Yeah.
Although,
Yeah.
What would
Stick
you,
around.
Alex? What would you estimate? Like, how many dates do you think you've been on from Tinder, Bumble, whatever the apps are? that you have?
Probably almost every girl. I mean, a majority, probably 90-95% of the girls I've met up with or been on dates with are all from Tinder or Bumble.
So how many is that, do you think?
Shit, I don't know. I mean, it goes in spurts. I mean, sometimes it could be like 3 in a week. Sometimes it could be like 1 in a month. I actually don't get people swiping right for me all that often. Like, I don't get a lot of matches. Like, I can
help you with that.
I don't get a lot of... I honestly don't. And, I mean, I don't look good on paper. And I think that's my biggest problem on
Wait, what do you mean by, like,
I don't believe that.
I don't look on...
You're a very handsome man.
Okay, but...
Let's
be honest here, right? But no, I'm just kidding. But no, I'm a musician. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I'm not a spring chicken.
But you're a professional musician.
So the girls the women that are there, if they're between 30 and 40 or whatever it is, they're looking for somebody who they deem that has stability, that they think has some sort of future, that they think just because you wear a suit and you make $25,000 a year at a bank, that is more stability to them than somebody that's been in the music business for 15 or 20 years, owns a house, does their own taxes, and actually makes enough money to survive. I don't make a shit ton. But nobody makes, we all, and there is no stability in anything anymore. You get fired at 40, and next thing you know, at 45 you're in a hole. You have to go back to school. Yeah. So on paper, I play in a band.
I think you sound really great for Tinder.
Well, I think
you would clean up in LA.
Maybe, I don't know. But everybody I talk to, like, I'm not dating a musician. I'm like, well, if you're not gonna, why not date? Well, because they meet girls and they don't know what they want. I'm like, well, then pretty much count every other dude in this town that aren't
Tinder.
Musicians.
I mean, isn't that the whole point?
Like, nobody knows what the hell they want. Like, people say they know what they want.
Well, they really don't.
But at the end of the day, and then what's funny is as soon as that woman meets me for coffee or whatever it is, I mean, in the first 20 minutes, they get a whole complete idea. I mean, there's people like...
You are very open. When
immediately, it's like people think... I've had girls say like, oh, I didn't think you were going to be smart. I didn't think this, and this, blah, blah, blah. Like, and then next thing you know, it's like, I've been a 6-year-old man since I was 18 years old. Like, I have backup plans for backup. 60. Okay. Well, I guess depending on what you talk to.
It sounded like you said
like, I balance my checkbook, like, I know what an IRA is. I know what, like, I literally tell people how to get their health insurance and insurance on their equipment and different things like that. Like, so all of a sudden you get that stuff in that first 20 minutes that you don't get by my picture of me with playing guitar.
Well,
look in a suit or just whatever.
Now that would be interesting. Can you switch out your pictures?
Yeah, of course.
So what if you dressed businessy?
My first picture is a picture of me in a suit from a wedding.
Can I see?
I'm just saying it'd be interesting to see how different the dates are and like the metrics of it all. If you dress differently versus like
there is on Tinder, I think it is there is like they can deem which one gets the most amount of like swipes right.
So it'd be interesting if Cora, for example, you did a new you switched out your pictures just for a week where boobs on the half shell, selfie.
I would probably get a lot of losers.
Not necessarily. I mean, I think men
this
are
is a great
creatures.
Photo. Okay, I'm looking at Alex's photos. These are good.
Would you swipe?
They're very real. They look like me, right? They're
I probably would.
You take good photographs.
I probably would swipe right on you.
There you go.
Homeowner.
I mean, that suit's a nice suit.
It says homeowner on there.
Yeah, because it's like I'm a homeowner. I actually own a house.
Yeah.
Also, you could lie about your age if you wanted to.
Yeah, but what's the point of lying to start it off?
I do lie about my age a lot, but then I always tell them the real later.
You could pull that move where you're like, I don't know why it says that I'm 40. Like, I'm actually... Like, once you meet in real life, you could be like, I'm actually, like...
Right, well...
You look 25.
Well, I have an issue... Well, I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. On paper...
Yeah.
Like, especially... Okay, nowadays, it's like... If you're above 30, there's a really good chance you have a kid or two. There's a good chance you've been divorced once or twice. There's a very good... Like, you have to think about where people are. And if they're looking at... So it's like...
I think you're maybe not on the right platform. Like, you should try...
Was there another one?
I mean,
Like
I've
this?
heard that Match is a little
Match
bit
is pretty
more
good.
serious when it comes
See, I've
to
heard
like.
the opposite. I've heard that Match.com is really fuck.com or, but I
Really?
think everybody's
Everyone
got
has
their thing.
based off of
Yeah.
Yeah,
an
yeah.
experience, a bad one, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think again,
Interesting.
I think they're all similar enough. I think that your paid sites probably have a better turnout ratio, just because if somebody's paying for something, that means they're probably taking it a little more seriously.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
But other than that, it's still a crapshoot. But
Yeah,
dating
it
is a crapshoot.
Everything is a crapshoot.
Everything you do, every time you meet somebody, making a friend is a crapshoot.
Well, yeah,
Playing,
it's just
it's like
a numbers game.
dating
Anything
is an experiment, and I a lot of times want to tell people, like, I mean, there was a point where a girl was like, well, like, here's my option. I could either start being this. We could be boyfriend girlfriend. I could say, well, let's date other people, which of course will never work.
Yeah.
Or we could just stop talking, right? Well, neither of us wanted to stop talking. So I was like, well, in the past, what I've done is like, let's see other people. Never works. So I'm going to try the opposite.
No, it doesn't.
Now, I didn't tell her I was like going through this process, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to experiment, because that's what dating is. And I'm going to say, let's be boyfriend, girlfriend and see what happens, right? That's not romantic. That's not all like, oh my God, you really like me. No, I like her enough to say yes. But I don't know if it's going to work.
Well, none of us do.
It's an experiment.
Absolutely.
No,
None
I
of
mean,
us
you can
do.
be with somebody for 5 years, and then there are
Okay.
reasons it doesn't.
I swear to God, this is
Yeah.
the best way to meet someone, and I don't know why these don't
Okay,
happen.
go.
So it is.
When you throw your pick at them when you're on stage, and it
that's-
hits them, and they're like, oh my God, and then they
He
come get you to
loves
sign
me.
it.
Oh,
Okay, go ahead,
does
sorry.
that work? But that works a little.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So it's called the Fiverr Party, and
Okay.
basically you get a group of people together, and they have to invite maybe not 5, but let's say 3.
Yeah.
3 boys, 2 girls, or 2, whatever the ratio is. Has to be people that they've dated and vet, even though it didn't work out. They're more in the friend zone, whatever, but they think they're good people.
Yeah.
You throw this party, and you also pepper it with couples, so it's not just some weird, creepy, free for all. And that way at least that everyone in the room has in some way, shape, or form been vetted by someone that you know and care
Yeah.
for.
It sounds like an orgy
like that.
swingers party.
It does a little
It
bit.
sounds exactly like
leave your
the
keys.
orgy swinger
Don't
parties that
judge
I've been
me.
to.
No, I think that it would be a great.
Leave your keys, get some Molly.
Although I have to say
Pick a room.
the blind dates I've been set up on, all I could think of while I was on these dates was this person I'm sitting across from would be perfect for my friend who set me up, but they're married or have a boyfriend
Yeah.
already or whatever. So don't set me up on a blind date with the person you want to date. Set me up on
Right.
a blind date with the person you think would actually be.
I like blind dates.
They're interesting. But
Because-
that's all this is blind dating, isn't
That's
it?
what
No,
this
it's true.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you get
Although
to see
you
the
get to
person,
see them
but it's
first.
still, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it's all fascinating. You guys, thank you so much. This has been
Thanks for having us.
hilarious and enlightening.
Good luck with editing.
Yeah, everybody.
No, this is fun.
I give Tinder classes every Tuesday,
You know,
Thursday.
you
I
can-
mean,
6 to
I'm-
9 p.m.
I'm so grateful for Tinder because I met somebody that's producing a song of mine right now that I'm absolutely.
awesome.
I love how it's turning out, and
Yeah.
we've stayed
Yeah.
friends, and
yeah, which is great.
so you just never really know.
Well, you
Like,
just
you-
count down the time when eventually it's going
What
to
is
blow
the
up.
percentage of people you've dated that you've stayed friends with? I mean, mine's a pretty high percentage. I mean, I like truly the people that I've dated that just
Yeah.
didn't work out romantically.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would say like, I don't know. I've only had like a couple serious things, and I have not stayed friends with those people just
Okay.
because they like revealed that they were insane.
Oh, well, that's, yeah.
Is that a reflection of me? I don't know.
Alex, what about you?
Oh, almost everybody.
But-
That you
Not
stay
everybody,
friends
but
with?
like I can be friends with somebody.
No, I mean, I've stayed friends.
They can't be friends with me a lot of times.
Yeah.
I've stayed friendly with people that I've
Casually dated.
casually dated
Yeah.
that it just hasn't really like
Sure.
moved forward with.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Alex, Cora.
Woo!
Thank you, everyone. And
Thank
I'll
you.
put for this episode,
What do
I
we
do
have?
links on heyhumanpodcast.com, and I'll put links to your music stuff.
Yeah, links to our Twitter, or
Your
our
Tinders?
Tinders
actually,
and
I
Bumbles,
did,
and
I
don't
did
know,
write
can
a
you do that?
song a couple
Oh,
years
that's
ago.
right. I'll put a link to that.
Called
Oh, yeah.
Tinder.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a
My
fun
friend
song.
Noah Peters and I sat down and we were like, let's talk
We'll
about
throw that up there too. I'll put that
Bad
up there.
date,
I say
yeah.
we as if it's just me. I'll put it up there. I don't know, all the people in my head. All right,
you
everybody.
and the gods of
Thank you so
Tinder.
much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Find them on Tinder. La, la,
Or not.
la.